Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're here inside our facility today, and we're going to show you one of our cool new offerings here at VanDOit. We're calling this van our Do Base Camp. It's more of a minimalistic build, but it's extremely flexible, probably the most flexible van build we have built yet to date. So we're going to check out this interior setup, the roof setup, and everything like that. So let's get into it. So as we step inside here, we can see it's kind of a no-frill setup as it is currently sitting. So this van has the ability to be kind of whatever you want it to be. It can be a camper van one day, a complete passenger van the other day, or a cargo van. Where I'm standing right here, you have the ability to have up to 10 seats in the van. If you count the driver, passenger, and then all of these floor mounts that you see in the van here, you can have up to 10 seats. And the way this van is currently configured. You also have all of this tracking system in the van. So if you want to make this like a bike hauler, or you're making it a work van for the weekend, you can utilize all of the tracking system to tie things down and mount gear here inside this van. In this setup, we have the driver and passenger dual swivel seats. And if you can see from my perspective, I'm going to turn the camera around here. You have all of this space to work with inside this van, so you can really make it what you want. But with this driver and passenger swivel seat setup, you can really just enjoy all of the space that you have inside this van. So this van has a little bit of a different power system than you're used to seeing in our VanDOit builds. We are basically utilizing this EcoFlow and shore power to power the devices in this van. So the lights and the outlets are either running off of the shore power or of this EcoFlow system. To power up the lights, we'll show you that real quick here. So to get power to your switches and like your S-bar and air conditioning controls, you're going to want to hit this 120 volt on and off button. So as you can see, I kicked that off. Right now on the front here, you can see we're not getting anything in because we're not plugged into shore power. And there's also not an output there because we kicked that off. So if we turn that back on, it'll take a little bit of time here. So we'll get that 120, hit that 120 button on. And then you'll hear a click here in a second. Yep, there we go. There's the beep from the air vent in the roof. And then we have the ability to power our lights back on. And then now we're going to take a look at kind of the setup in the power box, so you can kind of get an understanding of how some of that stuff works. The way this box is set up, it's going to prioritize the shore power plug-in when you're hooked up to shore power. So you're not necessarily going to get the pull from the EcoFlow to power your outlets if you are plugged into shore power. This van also has the ability to charge everything utilizing the alternator. We'll try to take a closer look here. I'll take the van or the phone off of the mount here, but so it's a little bit hard to see because of the glass, but you can see that EcoFlow box in there. That is going to give you the DC to DC charging, and that's going to be where the alternator actually charges this EcoFlow system. So you still have the ability, similar to like our other van setups, you're going to be able to use the alternator to charge the EcoFlow as you're driving down the road. So this side of the power box here is basically where you're connected to your EcoFlow from this whole setup. So if you were to unplug this shore power cord, basically, you're going to lose the power there. Then we plug it back in, and it'll take a couple more seconds. The lights will be able to kick back on. So stuff's starting to power up, and then we can kind of kick things back on here. And then we're gonna go plug in the shore power, and I'll show you kind of the front of this EcoFlow. Right here, you can see that the EcoFlow here has about an 86% charge, and then we are pulling some power from this, but I'm gonna go plug in the shore power real quick and we'll see what happens. So you kind of saw what happened when I plug in the shore power. It's what I explained a little bit earlier. The shore power is going to take over the power system. So that's why the lights kicked off. But you are going to be charging this EcoFlow box when you're plugged into the shore power. So anytime you don't have the ability to plug in, you will still have this as a backup. So make sure you're keeping this thing charged in case you don't have the ability to plug into shore power. If you've watched any other videos on our van builds before, you can see this is kind of a similar setup that we have in those vans. You have switches for dome lighting, accent lighting, and then a couple auxiliary switches. The Dometic air conditioning control, you are going to want to be plugged into shore power when you operate that. And then the controls for the S-bar furnace. And that's actually going to utilize the car battery to power it on. So you don't have to worry about the draw from the EcoFlow or being plugged into shore power. You're still going to be able to run the S-bar furnace here. And that also utilizes the vehicle's gas tank. You are going to want to make sure that if you want to use this, you're above a quarter of a tank, because this thing does not want to let you get stranded. It's not going to empty your tank. It's going to switch itself off below a quarter of a tank to make sure you're not stranded in the middle of nowhere. And then up in the ceiling here, we have our air conditioning. And as I mentioned earlier, you are going to want to be plugged into shore power to run that, and then the air vent, which you should be able to run off of the shore power and the EcoFlow power system that you have set up there. And then on this side of the van would be typically where you set up a bed system. So if you want to have our Murphy bed set up in here, you can do bunks, you can have a single platform, you can have a full platform, or you can have dual full platforms in here. You can also plug and play everything in here. So if you want to have some seating, a bed setup, you want to have kitchen modules, you have that flexibility. So if you want a bed setup kind of like you see here, or you just want seats kind of like you see here, you have that option, and you can really kind of rearrange those things. You can fold the beds up to the side, get them out of the way, and utilize the entire space for seating, cargo, whatever you can dream, you can do. So on the roof of this van, we do have some shore power that's going to help kind of trickle charge this system. And then also there's roof rails. So if you do want to mount some things on top of the van, you have that ability. If you want to add an awning to the front, you can do that as well. If you're interested in a more minimalistic build like you see here, or if you just really love the flexibility of this setup, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our gurus. They can answer any questions you have about this build. So if you're interested in the setup that you see here, you love the flexibility, the more minimalistic setup here, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our gurus. They can answer any questions that you have about things you can plug into this system, things you can add, awnings, kitchen modules, bed setups, anything like that, they can get you taken care of. So please reach out, and thank you for watching.